Hi again and welcome to the channel, and today I'm joined by Domenico.
Hi Craig.
Hopefully you saw my other videos out there about my predictions about 2020 and what I feel's kind of coming up using my psychic abilities.
Yeah, I actually saw that video. It's really interesting, and I saw that you spoke about politics, how the world is going to be in 2020. But have you thought about doing a video about the astrology in 2020? What every sign could expect by this new year?
Yeah, well, I think we can do something like that. This is called sun sign astrology. It started in the 1930s when people used it in the newspapers.
Almost 100 years old.
Yeah. So let's ask me a few questions.
Right, 2020 is not only a new year, but it's even a new decade.
Indeed.
God, it's going to be pretty fun to live.
Yeah.
Great time to be around. That's something that happens only once every 100 years. And we are not only in the new decade, we are in the new decade of the new century.
Yeah, indeed we are.
So it could be a pretty interesting point for astrology.
I think so.
So what was the prediction for 2020 for Aries? Have you got anything?
Yeah, well, Aries, it should be a pretty good year generally. A lucky year, I think we want to say, for Aries. It's going to be a time when all that pent-up energy that they've had through 2019 is going to now be able to release. And so they'll feel that they can be a lot more dynamic, a lot more themselves. They're a fire sign. They love to be energetic. They're a real go-getter, Aries are. And this is going to be a time when they can really feel that they are back on track again.
Like Aries.
So if you're Aries and you're thinking of doing something important, this is a good time, good year for setting up a business, starting to write a book, planning something new, a new venture, anything that involves the material world, really. It's going out there and making the world your own.
Just do it. So, how about the planets? Is there any specific alignment for Aries?
Yes, there's some interesting things going on in the chart. I'll just look at the charts here. Now it says we've got Jupiter sextile Neptune. Now that might not mean much to you.
Yeah, it does.
But this brings sort of passion and creativity into the person's life. So it's a good time for Aries to express their feelings. It's excellent time for partnerships. And if they're in a relationship, it should become a lot more sort of well-defined and be sure where they're going with things. Now, this year, Saturn is important with Aries. This will influence things like professional life and demand that they become quite efficient. It's a bit of a taskmaster in some ways, Saturn. But it will bring into Aries a lot more sense of responsibility. So you're going to have to be a bit more responsible. You're going to have a lot of luck, like I explained, but you've also got to be, how can I say, sort of like focused as well, right? So that's important if you want to turn this luck into real success. What else we got? Saturn's in Capricorn. Okay, so that's it's the 10th house and it's in there for the entire year. So those qualities I've talked about will be important. And another important planet is Jupiter, because Jupiter governs things like luck and good fortune and cheerfulness a lot. So it's right next to Saturn, right up until December the 20th. And this will bring lots of satisfaction in areas like work in particular. So that you'll be working hard, you'll be playing hard, but you'll enjoy your work very much. So it's, a lot of hard work, but enjoying it. Who else we got here? Now, Mars and Venus, they're very interlinked at this year for them too. So it's going to be very important in terms of relationships, because Venus is obviously connected very much with the love. Mars is energy, dynamic, and it's quite good positionings for that through the year for them. So there's lots of personal development connected with that too. Could be good career changes for them, and generally visible to the world. You know, that people are going to be very connected. That romance will be in full swing.
So not only lucky in work, but even lucky in love.
Yeah, it seems like the two go together for Aries this year. So it's quite a good year generally for Aries.
I was born under the wrong start then.
Well, we'll come to Aquarius later because we're both Aquarians.
Oh, yes, we are.
Yeah, indeed. We've got some interesting surprises for Aquarians.
That's a good combination. Yeah. And how about money?
Money should be... money brings... They've been kind of needing security for a while, Aries. Their life has been a bit up in the air for a fair while now. So if the money comes in, as long as they can be a bit disciplined with it, because we've got Saturn there bringing this sense of need for discipline, they should be able to get a lot more security and financial security this year. It will get easier towards the end of the year as well, because there'll be late December is a good time for investments of any sort. So if you work at the stock exchange or anything like that, that's the time to really start thinking carefully about investing for the long term. You know, very time when you're about to start spending for Christmas and the rest of it. You know,
yeah, we all know about it. And another important thing now that I believe a lot of viewers here that are Aries want to know about is the love life in 2020. How it's going to look like.
Well, we always tend to focus on the positive things, but the last few years for Aries have been quite a hard time. Many Aries might have gone through divorces and breakups. They would have had quite a lot of conflicts. This year, they would have started to see the seeds of a better time romantically. But this year should be a time when they can start to get a bit more stability in their love life. They're both financially, in their career as well, there's a lot more stability. And perhaps this will give them at last a chance to start to think about perhaps the more important things in life and finding the right partner and having a bit more stable romantic life.
So it looks like it's going to be a great year for Aries.
Aries is pretty good all round. Not a bad year at all. Even though we've got that Saturn there in the background, which is a bit of a taskmaster, it's telling us that even though good things come, we've got to make the best of it. Otherwise, we could lose the good luck quickly and not turn it into real things that we can see in the world as something we've achieved.
Good luck, Aries. Right, I think now it's time to move to the next sign, that is Taurus.
Indeed it is. And Taurus is an earth sign. Taurus is 2020 is going to be a year of quite a lot of hard work, building on things. Taurus should hopefully find quite a lot of stability, but it's going to come through effort this year.
So we moved from a pretty lucky sign to a...
Well, no, it's not a bad year. It's a good year for Taurus. They do have a few things I'd need to talk a little bit about on the emotional side of their life later, but generally, this could be a year of laying the foundations for better things to come.
Okay, so it's going to be a good starting point.
A good starting point. What we really need to do is have a look at the planetary positions for them. I'm going to look at their chart now and tell you a little bit about that, you see. So we've got, for example, we have Jupiter in conjunction with Pluto. Now that's pretty good because this could bring sort of gains, you know, so that it's not going to be all hot work. That suggests reward is suggested here as well from that. This can often link to things like inheritance.
Oh.
Now, it doesn't mean everybody that's Taurian is going to have an inheritance, but some could have an inheritance or possibly gains from a fund or something like that, you know, something that's been there for some time in the background of their life. So we've also got Jupiter and Saturn are very close together with this sign as well, and that should bring some prosperity, a lot of decisions to be made in the year generally for Taurus. Now, governed by the planet Venus, which is the old ancient goddess of love, as we know, they should have some good things, but we've also got it called retrograde. So Venus, when it's retrograde, means it appears when you look at it in the sky that it's going backwards across the sky. Right?
Didn't know about it.
So it just looks that way. It's just the way when the planets go around. At one point, it seems to go back the opposite way. The ancients, when they saw a planet going retrograde, would say it's going backwards. That's not a good sign. So we have, I don't know how quite long we've got that running in the chart at the moment. I haven't made a note of that here, but retrograde Venus will cause some upsets in love life for Taurus. And we've also got Uranus at retrograde as well. And that's Uranus, right? And,
I'll never be old enough. I'm an adult. I don't make these jokes.
Yeah, and we don't want to get asteroids in conjunctions with them.
Oh.
But so you have got Uranus is kind of connected with the imagination. I always think of Uranus as connected with it's a planet, right? You're not going to get this off your mind.
No.
And that's going to be retrograde for some of the year too. So this affects our vision of the future. So I think for Taurus, it's going to be a year of a lot of self-questioning about where they're going in life. Any decisions they make now are going to have an influence long-term for the future. So this is why it's kind of building now for the future. So what they do now is going to be very important. What they do in 2020 is going to be very important for the years to come. Doesn't mean it's going to be a bad year. It's just the way they're going to be focusing their energies.
So let's say that Taurus needs to concentrate on what they want to do and do it in a way of thinking more like, I'm not doing it to have a gain today, but I'm building something for tomorrow. Right. So we spoke about a general view of how 2020 is going to look like for Taurus, and doesn't seem to be an easy.
No,
it's going to be a lucky one,
no,
but
it's going to be fine. It's just the way you go about things. So for like with money, for example, it's not going to be dramatic increases in money, but it will be the sort of thing where you can start to find ways to make an improvement. So it's like what you're laying is the seeds for the future. So it's an optimistic time. And this is also a good time for removing things like long-term debt, so pay off the credit cards, right? So, but that's good because once they're paid off, you're then back in a much more better position. So, it's quite a good time for this because Taurus does like to have hope, that loves the home and loves security and things like this. So, you might have a lot of Taurians might have just moved into a new home, for example. So that would be a time when they haven't got everything, but they can see the way ahead. They can feel that something good has started to happen in their life. So, you go without so that you can have something a little bit more in the future.
Now, the most important thing that we said for Aries, this one is the point that everybody's looking for. What's going to be the love life for Taurus?
It's quite a good time. Because it's a good time, I'm particularly interested in those that are single at the moment, because it's quite a good time for new relationships.
Yeah, but remember, you're married.
Yeah, I'm married. So, but I think for a Taurian at the moment, because it's the time of setting the time for the future for them, it's a very good time for them if they just formed a relationship, because that relationship could, if they could turn into something good. It's the type of relationships that would not be love at first sight, but might sort of grow into something. And they suddenly find that they found their partner and they didn't even realize that they'd met their soulmate. That's the type of way it would work for Taurus this year. The way I interpret some of this too is that I get the sense that strong love and relationships for Taurians in the workplace. It's just the way not all astrologers would interpret it in the same way as I would, but the way I look at it here for them, there's going to be quite a good opportunities in career too for Taurus this year. So it may be career change for some, and if there's a career change, I get the feeling that a lot of Taurians could meet their partners at work.
So Taurus, even if it looks like it's a hard time for you, don't be afraid. By the look of it, it seems that it's going to be quite a good year even for them.
Yeah, it's a year of getting things in order. I mean, every star sign has positive and negative things. We tend with astrology to kind of focus on the optimistic things because, we don't want to say it's going to be a dreadful year. We look for the best of all the planetary positions and then move towards that. So it's getting an orderly life. That's the way that I feel Taurus is going to make the best of 2020. So Taurus, don't worry about anything that I've said here because it can be a good year for you It's a lot of hard work, but Taurus is a sign that's used to doing a lot of hard work, and you thrive. You get bored if you're not working hard. So it's a good year for Taurus if you take it with the right approach.
Right then, next sign,
Gemini, yes.
Gemini or Gemini?
Well, Gemini, really, I suppose. Like
Twins.
I mean, the twins, they say it different to each other. So Gemini, yes, it's going to be an interesting year. Now, Gemini is very much a communicator, and there's going to be a year where there's going to be lots of people in their life. It's going to be a very busy type of year for Gemini. It should be a time when, yes, there's opportunity, but they can get too easily distracted and miss opportunity. So it's going to be a mixed bag for Gemini. It depends on your attitude. If you see the opportunity and grab it, then things will go fine. If you just get too complacent, things could fall apart for you. So it's a volatile type of time. It's really, Gemini's year is going to be what you make it.
So Gemini is going to have a lot of people in their life this year. But does this mean it will always go well with these people?
No, the problem this year may be conflicts with people and arguments with people. It's showing that there could be quite a few disturbances. Again, we've got that Venus in retrograde, which can also, because it's in Gemini between May the 12th and June the 25th, it's got this Venus in retrograde again. So when Venus is in retrograde, as I explained with one of the other signs, it kind of can create conflicts. So you're going to have to be patient, Gemini, with people. You're very much a person that can not always be the most patient of signs. You're a great communicator with people, but you also can over-talk and over-compensate sometimes. So I feel that this year you've got to think about how the other person sees things and try to see both sides of the argument and try to avoid conflict if possible, because that is the possible downfall for Gemini this year. But it's generally, a year when there's opportunity there if you can just spot it, and also if you manage to handle people in the right way and you don't have too high expectations of people, you don't assume things, you're a little bit more patient. So patience will bring success to Gemini.
And is there any specific planet alignment? You said Venus is retrograde.
Yes, I mentioned about Venus. I mean, Saturn's in conjunction with Pluto in their sign on January the 12th of the year, if I'm correct. Yes, that's where it is. And this will when people, you put a lot of demands on other people when that happens. Venus is retrograde in Gemini, as I said, for a while between May the 5th and May the 12th, and June the 25th. That's when there's potential difficulties. Sometimes when it's in retrograde, it gives us a chance to reevaluate relationships and things like that. It can help us to reconcile sometimes as well. So it's not always a negative thing. There's opportunities, like I say, opportunities if you can look out for them.
Catch the moment.
Yeah. So those are the most important type of things.
And how is going to be the money life in 2020 for Gemini?
Gemini like their independence, and money gives them independence. So it could be a good year giving new directions for the person. From the charts, I would say that by November is the best time money-wise, because that's when things will start to happen. That's when things will begin to advance. So they should find reasonably good financial security during 2020, particularly towards the end of the year. A November sort of time is a good time. But they want to get their independence. It's like this year, 2020, the emphasis is on, a little bit selfish perhaps, but it's me. It's getting my independence together.
So, and what about love in 2020 for the twins?
Yeah, well, it's not a bad year. It's a time when making connections with people, so it's reconnecting. This is all a communication year for Gemini. The most important time for them, love-wise, from their horoscope is going to be round about the summertime. Is going to be the best time for finding love, if they're looking for love. This would be the most harmonious time. Any rifts and difficulties, they've kind of been the theme a few years ago, really. They would have had more problems in the past. So they got over a lot of problems. So they're, again, another one of those signs that is perhaps finding the opportunity to find a new relationship this year.
So by the sound of it, Gemini is going to have a pretty full year, filled up with people, starting with some conflict that they might solve by themselves if they work hard enough, and then being able to find love during summer, and even a good money situation at the end of the year.
Yeah, in fact, the type of signs that would be good for them at this particular, from looking at the other signs as well. I mean, they get on very well with a love match at this time of year with Aries, Aquarius, and Leo. Those are all well aspected for good partners for Gemini, who also could connect with, their
your best connections.
Yeah, your best connections for 2020. Yeah.
2020.
2020.
2020. Like the VJ. I got a slinger eye there.
So Gemini, look out for opportunities. You can have a happy year ahead. Just got to make sure you don't miss what comes along. Keep your eye focused, get that laser focus through the year, and I'm sure you're going to find just what you want in 2020 or 2020.
Next sign, Cancer. That's going to be 2020 for this sign.
Well, Cancerians don't really believe in luck. They have this thing that things don't happen by sheer luck, and it should be a lucky year for them, really. It could be a prosperous time if they play their cards right. It will be quite important to them emotionally and at home. So for Cancer, not a bad year, Again, for them, I think it's again a question of believing in yourself, believing that you can have a good year, that you can be lucky.
And we saw in the 3 previous signs that different planetary alignment meant different situation for them. Is there any specific planetary alignment for Cancer that will make a change in 2020 for them?
Again, Saturn plays an important role. It's one of the major planets, and it brings a few limitations to them a little bit. Because when Saturn starts to move through these, it's a longer, slower moving planet, Saturn, so it gives us a longer term sort of feelings. So I get the sense with them they're going to be thinking about their past a lot. They're thinking about their childhood a lot. There's a sense with Cancerians that they could be looking back a little bit. And that can be good and it can be bad. They've got to bring the good things from the past. So keeping an optimism is important in the year ahead. They've got Jupiter in conjunction with Pluto. This gives the person an ability to access information. It gives them an ability to assimilate new ideas, And also, Jupiter's passing through the sort of work and routine areas of their chart. So those things are going to be important to them through the year. So changing their routines, wanting to do new things is going to be important. So this Jupiter influence in their sign is going to make them a lot more easygoing. That's going to lift up their feelings a bit. They're going to be a bit better at communicating with people, putting their ideas across. Mars is very much in their love areas of their sign. It's also retrograde for a while, so there'll be some trials. There'll be some trials in their love. It looks like for them it's very much a bit of a trampoline year. Moments when things are settled, and then moments when things can be a bit more volatile. But I mean, that's Cancerians generally, I think, in many respects.
The normal life of a Cancerian.
Yeah.
But how about money? Are they going to have a stable situation in 2020? Or like for the rest, it's going to be a good moment and a bad moment that they will need to live with?
Well, actually, money for Cancer this year is great. They can make great financial strides. There's quite a lot going on in their chart. I mean, they'll be getting, I think with Cancerian, half the problem with Cancerians is self-confidence and believing in themselves. And the planets and stars would kind of give you a much more self-confident view this year. You know, you'll be a lot more determined. A good year, particularly when it comes to saving money. So Cancerians for this year, if they're saving for a home, or they're trying to save for a deposit, or they're trying to save for their kids, because they'll often spend their money on their children, Cancerians, anything to do with savings is a very good year. And this will make Cancerians happy because they'll feel that they've accomplished something. It's very much a sign that loves the home, Cancerians. They love their children. They're happy when they have a family around them. So saving and protecting the family, anything financial that brings the whole family collectively together is a good thing for Cancerian in 2020, or 2020 if you prefer to call it that. So basically, Cancer will be in control of their finances.
Right, so money-wise, it's going to be a good year for Cancer. How about love life?
Well, it's the long-term things that are important to Cancer this year. So if they're already in a relationship, this might be the time when they pop the question, or the question gets popped to them, because it's a time when they could be looking to becoming a married person. I would say also that this is a period when we look at the sort of signs that they could get on with, they could get on with their own sign, Cancer, or a Taurus sign. Through 2020. But whatever the sign, this is a time for Cancerians perhaps to be much more serious about their relationship. It's a time when they will be thinking about the long-term future. They'll be thinking about family things rather than just having fun.
Oh, so Cancerian girls, get ready. You might have a wedding soon.
That's the way it looks.
And now to the next sign, Leo.
Yeah, Leo got to be cautious in 2020 because you got me saying 2020 now. They've got to be cautious in 2020 because it's a time when they could lose a lot of money. They got to watch their finances. That's the keynotes of the year. If I look at some of the planetary influence, we've got Saturn in conjunction with Pluto on January the 12th, and this is possibly the best time for money. It's an optimistic time. It's a time when they can be expansive. It's a cheerful time for them. So that early part of the year is quite a good time money-wise. But we've got to be careful not to lose the gains we make. If we look around the financial houses of Jupiter, now this is the great benefactor of the zodiac, and this can bring tempting opportunities. But again, I've got to be a bit cautious. I must be not overconfident. The lion can sometimes get so proud and so believe in themselves that they kind of can get a little bit too selfish sometimes, and it can cause monetary loss because people lose faith in them. March and May, between March and May, and also between August and September, those are the times to be particularly careful with money. So they're very challenging signs. There's a lot of difficulties potentially shown on the money front here for them. Again, we've got Mars retrograde between September and November. So that again is not an easy time. This is more on the emotional side, I feel. The danger of getting into conflicts with people, the danger of secrets being exposed, the time of one beginning to actually having to face the consequence if you've been doing something behind the scenes that people don't know about, So they've got a lot of difficulties for the year ahead for Leo, but it's not all bad. You've got to be honest. You've got to be straight with people, and I think if you do things straight and you don't try to trick things or you try to misguide people, things will go fine. But you've just got to be careful because there's potential of the gains you make you could lose. So caution. That's all it needs. Caution.
Well, we went from few lucky signs to Not really lucky 2020 for Leo.
No, I think they have a bit of a hard time this year. Sorry, folks. But, I mean, the whole thing is, though, it's how you approach it. You see, the same person can have these same planetary alignments and make a great success. It's being aware of how to go about things. It's the way you go across the landscape, as it were. You know, so really, is be prepared. The best way for Leo is to be straight, open, honest. To try to do things in a clear way and not to try to do things in a secretive way. And when you get your gains, don't take chances and risks with it. Stick the money in the bank when the good stuff comes along, and be cautious.
So, and how about the love life for Leo in 2020? If monetary-wise, money-wise, they're going to be cautious. They need to be cautious in 2020. How's going to be their love life?
I think it's a very varied thing again, because they've had quite a lot of difficulties with some of the things that are happening for Leo. There is a chance, again, if they're a single person, they could definitely meet someone in Leo. I think it's like they meet someone in similar problems that they're having in their life. It's like someone could help them. You know, they could be guided by others. Leos like to be the boss. They like to be in charge. The way things look for 2020 is that really, in some respects, they should follow rather than try to keep leading all the time. It's like they scare people off. So really, a Leo needs to be a bit more circumspect, a bit more cautious, and be prepared to follow rather than to always want to be the centre of attention and always want to lead. They've almost got to go a little bit against their nature in 2020. And then I feel they'll learn more and they'll become a much fuller individual and will attract the right people into their lives.
So it's not all bad.
Oh, no. And again, like I say, with all the signs, it's just a matter of getting the right attitude to the conditions that are there. Like, you know, the path is different for everybody. And, you know, do we wear dancing shoes or do we wear walking boots? You know, just the attitude we take will bring us success or not.
So let's say if Leo this year, this new year, this 2020 or 2020 is willing to just follow for once and learn from you.
Yeah, and yet I think also with Leo, by the midsummer period particularly, they're going to have a very good, strong sense of responsibility and care for others. And that's where they could really gain in the year. I think in the mid-year, round the summertime, they could become a lot more, if they do things right. It's like getting over this selfishness, I think we've got to say, with Leo. The summertime, they could have the admiration that they want from people if they get the right values. So for Leo, if you want your year to go well, you've got to think about everybody rather than just yourself.
Right. Next sign, Virgo. How is it going to look 2020 for Virgo?
For Virgo, it's going to be a very good year in 2020. They're going to, it's fantastic if you're in business. This is a time for acquisitions, and it's been a long time when they've been without what they've been wanting. This is a good year for Virgo. So it's material things, particularly. Job changes, great. Anything new, any business, you can take risks this year. They can opportunity and luck is on their side.
And we're back to the lucky signs then.
Yeah, in a way. They've got some quite good things going. They've had quite a hard time for about 3 years. And they've been struggling. But so now it's kind of a bit of a breakthrough. So in many respects, it seems much better than perhaps it is because everything seems to have been against them for so long. But now at last their ship has come in.
And what's the planetary alignment for Virgo?
Well, they have a particularly good mood indicated in their astrology, really. They're in the right frame of mind for the first 9 months of the year, 2020. They have more faith, more strength, you know. They're going to be a bit more relaxed. They have a better perspective on life. And their sense of humour is going to come back too. So it's looking quite good. We have this Venus in apparent retrograde again, which will move in their house of money for them. So they might encounter a few sort of sanctions, but the general overview is very good perspective for their money situation. Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, some conflict between them in their planets, danger possibly sometimes of overspending, what I see here, a certain amount is wanting to spend on ephemeral things like new camera equipment or something like that.
But we're not Virgo.
So from their point of view, yes, it is, but there is generally a year of a bit more prosperous. They could waste a bit. It's kind of against their nature to waste things. So yeah, I think it's a good prosperous year for them in particular.
So Virgo, be careful not to spend money on new camera gear, unless it's suggested by me on my channel. But seems like it till now. It seems a lucky time. And how's going to be the love life?
Again, it's a great year for Virgos. It's a time that family's going to be important. Harmony generally. A life full of generally a very joyous year for them. So they've got a good time ahead. Another one that could be getting married, and we're going to have a lot of marriages next year perhaps, but wedding bells could be indicated for the Virgo sign. The planets look good for them generally. It's got all the cosmic ingredients that could make relationships work well. So I like the look of their chart this year. I think it's one of the best signs to be for 2020. Good, even if they want to change their career. There's lots of signs here that they, unexpected opportunities. So yeah, a good year after a period of a number of years where it's not been so easy.
I can see it's going to be a good year even for my colleagues, photographers and video makers, with all these weddings.
Yes, plenty of opportunities. You want to target all the Virgos and
I'll just start to send them the cards from my colleagues and my friends.
Yeah.
Hey, need a photographer. You have a wedding this year. No, I don't. Yes, you have. 2020 seems that it's going to be a pretty lucky year for a lot of us.
Well, again, I'd like to be fairly optimistic about the way we look at the astrology, because whatever destiny throws at you, you can make good of it. Whatever the year ahead. There used to be. I was a great admirer of the man Yogananda, who used to get his devotees to do everything at times that were astrologically terrible. And in India, you don't do anything unless you look at the stars first. So he used to say, we're going to do this when, this is retrograde and that's awful and this is terrible, And to prove that the power of the will and the human personality is actually greater than the stars. So Virgo, not much to say for you really. It's a good year ahead. Just enjoy the opportunities you got this year, because it's been a long time without these opportunities, and now's your way to make a good future for the long term as well.
In love, money, health.
Pretty much all of it. Career too.
Great 2020 for you guys. And girls. And dogs.
I
don't know, actually.
Horoscopes. We have to do those another time.
We should do that.
Yeah. Boo, where are you?
Right, we spoke about the first 6 signs till now, and more or less seems to be an interesting 2020 for them. It's going to be full of luck and a good year.
Well, these
all
are
around.
These are very general horoscopes we're doing here, because every person's horoscope is different depending upon the time of your birth and the place of your birth and things like this. So if you want to get a completely unique reading, you can call one of my phone line astrologers, and they will give you a in-depth reading just specifically to you. And these guys also have psychic abilities too. So call our phone lines, and you'll see it up on the screen here somewhere, a little link that you can connect to and get a personal reading by phone.
And we'll put it in the description down below. So if you can find it on over there, or over here, over there, I don't know, somewhere
around. And it's not just UK as well, by the way. It's any country in the world can use these services. They're all on the website.
And we'll put the link in the description, as we said. So international, you can go from wherever, and you can have your own dedicated.
Yeah, you can have your personalized astrology by telephone with a professional astrologer who does nothing else except astrology.
Right, so I think it's time to move to the next sign.
Yes. Libra. Okay.
2020 or 2020 for the sign of Libra. How is it going to look like?
Well, it's a time when Libra will begin to feel their sense of self-worth. It's like they've gone through a lot of inner changes and are still going through a lot of inner changes through 2020. So the general feel that us, the astrologers, have been feeling about this is that they're going to be back to be their old selves again, full of their sense of humour, full of their zest for life, a lot more self-confidence. Generally for Libra, it's a very good year.
I do believe that 2020 is going to be a good year for a lot of us.
I think it's a good year generally. Yeah, I think we're coming into a time of a lot more optimism.
Any specific planet alignment that Libra should be aware of?
The main thing is that Jupiter's position is very favourable for them. And Jupiter is the planet, again, of you can link with money, luck, a zest for life, enthusiasm, all those type of things. It's humour, fun. So this will be giving energy and vitality through the year for them in 2020. It's well positioned. It's in the first house, and it's also favourable for anyone to make any changes to their physical appearance, plastic surgery or
gym.
or gym, yeah. So it's anything good with that type of thing. So it connects with the body, and making sure the body is healthy. So it should be a healthy time for them. Sleep is important to them. I think Librans are generally a star sign that doesn't sleep well because they've got their minds always trying to find balance, and thoughts run around their heads at night. So it's a much better year because of the position of Jupiter for that type of thing. Their governing planet is Venus, and this is shown as quite a good. It's in a retrograde motion for some of the year, and again, so it can trigger for them. It lands in the house of money. So this is kind of creates a few possible problems on the money side, but generally they have good optimism through the year. So this is going to make life a lot better. Mars' position can make them a bit stressed sometimes, particularly when we're talking about the money type things, because it's retrograde from September the 9th. It would be retrograde from the charts here. So, and also between October the 14th and November the 3rd, it's in retrograde in Scorpio and Libra. So for Librans, this is a kind of a period of emotional imbalance and denial through that time. But generally, overall, quite a good optimistic period for them.
Great, so not bad for them either. And I was going to look like for money. 2020 money for Libra. How is it going to look like?
Well, if they're going to want to make money, for them this year, anything creative and innovative will bring them better rewards than. So it's new ideas are very good at creating money opportunities for them. Partnerships are well started, good for business opportunities where we're working in conjunction with other people. I mean, Librans generally work well with others. They're quite a harmonious type of sign. They work well sometimes as a group. They don't want to dominate all the time. So they can often support someone very much in business and in their careers and things like this. So, but also I think for Librans, it's also a time for them to improving their own image and their own position in the world as well. So it's good both in partnerships and if they're trying to do their own thing as well.
In creativity, you said, that's something I'm really into, as you know. So, great year for them, by the look of it. And how it's going to be the love?
Love's pretty well started as well for them, actually. With a few periods, like I mentioned, about the Venus in retrograde, which is kind of affecting a few of but that's more, not so much on the love side of their life for them. So it's quite a good time for them just to be themselves, be more natural, be just, it's like they're able to express themselves, and it's like that people will be attracted to them quite naturally. So they don't need to go looking for love if they're on their own. They just need to be themselves and love will find them.
That's an interesting 2020 for Libra then.
Yeah, so it's not a bad time for them at all, really. And like I say always, it's just what you make of it, really. But I think with Libra, and there's a natural attractiveness to them this year, and they can stop worrying so much. I feel they're always a bit of a worrier sometimes in 2019. And they've had a lot of financial difficulties in 2019, but that's started to ease now. And it should be quite an optimistic year. So have faith in yourself, Libra. That's the important thing.
Next sign, Scorpio.
Scorpio, indeed. Things have been going quite well for Scorpio since 2019. When we see in their chart that there's a change of position in the position of Pluto. Pluto is a planet very much connected with the sign of Scorpio too. And this has been in this area of their chart that deals with intellect and communication. But it also has been brought with it a lot of good luck. And for Scorpio, I want to say that 2020 kind of brings unexpected good luck. Things that you haven't worked for. Things that come completely out of the blue.
NASA put back Pluto in the planet list. Pluto is a planet.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely a planet. And I think astrologically, we still take Pluto as a planet.
Right, now it's a bit clearer the importance of the planets in the astrology and the difference between fast-moving planets like Mercury or slow-moving planets.
Yeah, and actually for Scorpio, Scorpio's had Neptune, which is one of the slower-moving planets, going through the house of sort of eroticism and love, I suppose you could say it for Scorpio. So it's been a long period of emotional type of stuff in their life. And I would imagine that most people of the sign of Scorpio are kind of getting into a trend of feeling that this is for a lot further ahead, So there could be a lot of emotional things for Scorpios generally in the period ahead, particularly with love and relationships and things like this,
And how is going to be the monetary situation in 2020 for Scorpio?
Money is generally pretty good for them. They've got to remember that money kind of goes in cycles, so money can come and can go. It's not in this idea of that they're a gradual accumulation of money. The way things are with the way the planets are with them at the moment, it's kind of could show ups and downs, but generally a good period. A time, the springtime is very good time for them when it comes to money. It's a time you can really make money by work rather than just luck. It's quite a good time for them money-wise. It's not bad at all. Scorpio is one of those signs that is affected by this Mars in retrograde. And it can mean for this sign of Scorpio that during 2020, they're going to feel periods of extreme tiredness. So they need to account for that and slow down sometimes so that they can still maintain an optimistic and good attitude through the year. Once that period of the Mercury retrograde is out of their sign, they'll feel energetic again. So ups and downs with their energy.
And how is going to be the love life for Scorpio this year?
For Scorpio, it's a fantastic time for anything to do with single relationships because the nature of things, of the way the things are arranged for them at the moment, is that it does very much favour the person that is moving from one relationship to another, enjoying the life of a single person. So it's not so much a time for settling down. It doesn't mean to say that you can't settle down this year, but the general energy around the Scorpio sign during 2020 is one of self-confident, having fun type of period for them.
Fun times for Scorpio then.
Fun times, yeah. The most important thing I think for Scorpio is don't push yourself to the limit because your energies are limited. So don't overdo things, but still enjoy life nonetheless.
Next sign, Sagittarius, and we're getting closer to Aquarius.
Aquarius, you want to know all about Aquarius, the best sign of the zodiac, would you not agree?
The most curious, let's say, the one with more fantasy.
But anyway, we're going to talk about Sagittarius, a much more
on.
grounded sign and a much more sensible than us Aquarians. And it's going to be a year of change for Sagittarius, really, but change that they want, change that they can embrace, change that they can enjoy. It's a time when they think much more about how they present their image to the world. It's about having the confidence to present the real you. And I feel for Sagittarius, this 2020 is going to be a year where there's a lot of growing self-confidence. They might not even have noticed it, but it's already been happening in 2019. And they're going to storm ahead through 2020.
Another interesting year for another sign, better. Another sign with an interesting year.
Yes, I mean, it's not all love and light because they've got Venus that's retrograde, we've been talking about for the number of the signs here, but it's in their 12th house. Now, their 12th house, this will bring a lot of mental energy, a lot of focus, and also a lot of confusion because we got the retrograde quality of Venus there showing in the way things are going for them. What they've got to ask themselves is not so much what can I gain from life, but what will make me happy. And that, I feel, is that the core of what's happening to Sagittarius. They're kind of getting to the fundamentals of what they really want from life this year. There's a lot of questioning about their life and where they're going and finding the true purpose and meaning of why they're here.
How about planets? Is anything important apart from Venus retrograde?
Well, also Mercury is retrograde for them for a period of time. This will cause a period of tension. It's a number of the signs have this, but it's very good for them at the moment. Also, when we talk about Mercury, it's associated with travel, and travel is well shown in their chart at the moment. Family travel, in particular, it is very good for them. So if it's a trip to Disneyland or something like that, that's great. You know, something with family involved is good fun for those Sagittarians that are in that position. Saturn's influence on Sagittarius, I think they'll be a bit more concerned about security and material comfort from the position it's landing in the houses, and more so than normal because they are a sign that does like those type of things. And it could also give them unexpected financial jumps as well.
Talking about financial jumps, how's going to be the money situation for 2024?
Well, up and down in some respects, because we've got Mars retrograde in Aries, and this will affect Sagittarius on a professional level. Okay. So a little bit difficult when it comes to things like job changes or promotions and things like that. When we come to money itself, generally, like I say, for them, there's been a lot of questioning about their lives and who they are and what they're doing. And also the way they earn money and what they're doing with it. They'll be questioning those sort of things. It should be quite a good year for anything to do with learning and travel. So again, money could be made from studying and maybe learning new skills and things like that here. And you've got to be careful with anything to do with investments and joint investments particularly. So it's probably better to do your own thing through this year when it comes to money. But things get much, much better towards the end of the year. From the autumn onwards, or the fall, the Americans would call it, that's when financial things improve dramatically for Sagittarius. So, steady as we go through most of the year, but particularly towards the latter part of the year, that's when the planets are in a position that would make it much more positive in that area.
And what do you see about love?
For love, it's really a time of consolidation for Sagittarius. Most Sagittarians will probably be in a relationship at this point. So it's consolidating a relationship that they feel happy with. I mean, it doesn't mean to say that Sagittarians on their own is going to stay on their own, but they're looking for consolidation. They're not looking for endlessly new opportunities that the other side of the mountain, the grass is greener. They're looking for more stability at this present time.
So more of a stable relation.
Stable, as I said, family and travel things come together. So it's much more thinking about homely things, more so than they would have done in previous years.
Great. So even for them, it's not going to be a really bad year, but
again, it's how you look at it, isn't it? It's how you approach it. There's not good and bad. There's opportunities in every year, and I like to focus on the type of opportunities that the general planetary positions offer people. So Sagittarius, it's make it about you this year. The way you present yourself to the world is very important, and some of the most important things for you are going to be your family, your home, and consolidating your relationships.
Now Capricorn.
Capricorn, generally quite a good way ahead for them through 2020. It's going to be a year where they need to keep their mind focused. If they can keep their mind focused, the world is theirs. Know what you want, understand what you want, and then go for it. And don't keep getting distracted. And if they can do that, everything looks extremely good on pretty much every level of their life, both in the health, both in love, in career, and in money.
Any planetary alignment that could be important in 2020 for Capricorn?
Okay, again, I look at some of these retrogrades. This is when we talked about the planets appearing to go backwards through the sky, and we've got Uranus retrograde in Capricorn. You can't handle that planet, can you? You have trouble with that. That's the ruling planet of Aquarius, of course. That's why we enjoy it. It's a time because it starts to churn up the energy of Uranus. Okay. And it could be quite a unique and exciting time for them. It's a time also when they could embark on new adventures as well. So Capricorn, who can sometimes be a bit conservative as a star sign, would be much more adventurous than normal because of that movement of Uranus. I'm never going to be tired of talking about this again.
So, how's going to be the monetary situation in 2020 for Capricorn?
Well, I would say for Capricorn, you're doing the right thing. Keep doing more of what you're doing, basically, because long-standing jobs, long-standing businesses, long-standing relationships, all shown well in the chart for 2020. Other people from the outside can cause problems sometimes, so, watch out for those that would try to steal your success. Not a serious problem, but, the rewards come from work that's been done over a long period of time. So keep working on what you've got and you'll make your own success.
So money is basically saying, just keep doing what you're doing and you're going to be good.
Yeah.
And now it's going to be love.
Well, in regards to love, slightly different, because Capricorn has been feeling very underappreciated for a long period of time. And we gradually see changes happening. A sort of an improvement in spring, but a very good improvement in summer in regards to relationships, because it's all looking much, much better here for them in getting news of meeting new people, enjoying new relationships, and basically feeling a bit more loved again. So it's an improvement for them.
It will be done. My sister is Capricorn.
It fits, does it?
And it does fit. It does fit. She had a rough time with love.
And let's pray she never watches our videos.
Hopefully. I love you, sister. So any specific suggestion you want to give as Craig to Capricorns? Well, for Capricorns, the status quo is the way ahead. You're not a sign that likes a lot of change. Just keep doing what you're doing and everything's going to be fine. And now, the most important sign of them all, Aquarius.
Aquarius, so, yes.
How's going to be our 2020?
2020 is good for us. It's fine.
Good news.
The planets' positions would give us fantastic energy. It's going to be a year. We're pretty energetic normally, aren't we? But it's going to be enormous energy over this period of time. But the drawback, the negative, is that we can get overstressed. Now, you're Italian. You never get stressed, do you?
I'm just used to it.
So, no, it should be quite a good year. I'm looking forward to it. It's kind of an upgrading year for Aquarians. Anything you've been working on already will reach mega levels. Again, it's because you've got the energy, and it's how you or we or the viewer uses that energy to make good of things. So we've got the energy. Let's hope we have the money and we have the willpower to keep this going.
And how the planet look like?
Well, they don't look bad. Aquarius is a natural non-conformist, wouldn't you agree? Yeah. And Pluto influence will increase that non-conformity, really, through this year. So we're going to be more rebellious and non-conformist than ever. As I've said with the other signs, looking at this Jupiter in retrograde motion, it falls in Capricorn for us, and that's between the 15th of May and September the 13th. That will kind of make a person reevaluate friendships and things like that. It can make us decide to get rid of certain projects and start new ones. So it's kind of a bit of sorting out can go on in that period. We've got Mercury retrograde, and that's between the February the 17th and March the 10th. This can make the energies frustrated. This is why I say we've got to watch out for getting too tense, stressed out, because you're doing far, far too much. But we have the energy to do it as well. Mars is, when it goes retrograde, is in Aries. Aries. So this lasts for about 2 months, and again, this can also increase the stress levels. So it's important for us as Aquarians to use our energy wisely, not to burn ourselves out, basically.
So it's going to be full of energy here, but even full of stress.
Yes, ever different.
Sounds like a normal year to me.
Yeah.
How is going to be the money situation?
Well, money should go quite well for Aquarius, because with all this energy, it's possible to do quite well. It's kind of like in the Aquarian chart, this money has been the focus for a number of years. It's shown over the last 3 years, money has been something where Aquarius has had to put their focus more than love and relationships and career. It's earning money, saving money, making money. And now it should be at the point where things can be taken kind of upgraded a bit more. It can take things what you've been working on for 2 or 3 years can suddenly start to show results and success.
Great, so we might be able to buy our house finally.
Yeah,
we got a studio.
Yeah, and those two things are now, our patron that people can support and help to us to upgrade our world, of course.
And have our own studio where we can film and record more videos.
So we put a begging letter in amongst our door here. But the energy's there, and it should be a good year. Spring particularly is a good time when the energy starts to come. So it's earlier in the year than it is for some of the other signs we talked about here. Mm-hmm. The success should come earlier in the year. But again, like with everything, it's not just having the energy, it's knowing how to use it, how to focus it, get your, not to waste things, and to make hay while the sun shines, really. Well, the good aspects are there. Try to make something of one's life.
Interesting. So, if you want to help us, we got the Patreon open. You can actually help us get the studio.
Yeah, and we hope to make this whole channel into something that already is becoming very popular, I know, but we hope to make it into something that really does stand out from all the other channels on the web, because I don't think anybody's really doing quite what we have in mind.
We want you people to participate with us.
Yeah.
We want you to be part of this channel.
Yeah.
Not only as a viewer, but as a proper contributor.
It's a bit like creating a bit of a movement, a bit like the things I wrote about in my book, Messages from the Universe, about when the Nadi said about you can do something that's really going to have an effect on the world. And the astrology for us this year hopefully will give us that energy, and with a bit of support from everyone else, we can take this into a new orbit.
New level. No, new orbit actually is better. And love life.
Well, love is pretty good for Aquarius during this year too. it's important because of all this energy that's going around in the sign that they also try to keep their feet on the ground a little bit when it comes to relationships. They could get very argumentative generally because the energy's high. So stability is important. You don't want to break friendships and relationships up because you just got so carried away with everything. Often an Aquarian needs a stable partner to keep them on the ground and stop them flying into the sun,
I can guarantee that.
So again, this energy could create a certain amount of moodiness sometimes, because often when you have high energy levels, you also will suddenly crash sometimes, because the energy can also be expended very fast. So, learning balance, trying to earth yourself at the same time as going with your enthusiasm, very difficult things to do simultaneously. But that's the way Aquarius will thrive in their emotional life as well. So positive time, because the energy's there to make a lot of laughter, a lot of fun, a lot of humour in a relationship.
So even for us Aquarius, it's going to be a great 2020.
It's a great year. Not really the year for making wedding plans, if someone's planning weddings for an Aquarians, because it's more a time when it's the enthusiasm and fun in the air, not so into the stability yet. Right. That's going to come later, probably in 2021 for Aquarius.
After we buy the house. The main expense.
Yeah.
Right then, any special suggestion for our fellow Aquarius that are watching us?
Well, I say with Aquarius, just go with it. Enjoy the energy that you have in this period. Be an inspirer of other people, but also listen to others to keep your feet on the ground and not burn yourself out.
And now to the last sign, last but not least.
Yeah,
Pisces, fishes.
Yeah. Fishes. So Pisces, it has been and continues for a little while to be a little bit of a lonely time for them. They've been quite solitary for a while, Pisces. Their sign does show improvements though in the year. Particularly when we get to the mid-year, when we start to get around the summertime, they start to feel almost unexpectedly, they start to find more people in their lives, much better in the relationship side. They're very sensitive sign, Pisces, so they need the right people around them. So they're coming out of a time when they've been a bit secluded, and by the summer, I suppose you could say they start to swim.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
So is there any planetary alignment that will make any change of fishes in 2020?
Well, for Pisces, they've been a bit depressed over the last months, actually, around this Christmas period even as well, for many of them. This has been the influence of Pluto, has a strong effect, and it's still there a little bit. So gradually their optimism will start to improve in 2020. They're very affectionate people, they're very sensitive people. This Jupiter retrograde thing also allows them to start to make some corrections to this kind of exaggerated way that they've had to the world. There's been a lot of self-examination with them, a feeling of where they're going. And I feel that this year is going to be a year where they start to feel a lot more optimistic, a lot more driven to become, to start to make something of their lives. Uranus is doing a transit through Taurus during this period of time, and this will give them completely new ways to communicate. And I feel this will help them to communicate with the world, because that's half the problem that they've had, is they became much more introverted, and it's a much more opening of them through this year.
And how about the monetary side? Money side, as we say. How money are going to look like for Pisces? There you go, I said it. In 2020.
Yeah, Pisces, yeah. How do you say it in Italian then?
Pesci.
Pesci. Okay, Pesci. Pesci the fishy. Rewards come for Pisces during this year. There's a challenging eclipse though in the spring, which can hold them back money-wise. And when this occurs, it can sort of shift their focus quite a lot. When an eclipse comes along, they have to replan their financial strategies at that time of year. But generally, the challenges are not too bad for them. They could be, if they could be a bit more adventurous, they could find more opportunities through new careers and new work. I mean, there's almost been a need for making change for Pisces for a number of years. And now they're beginning to enter a period from now and into further years ahead where they'll be much more adventurous and self-confident. So 2020, they shouldn't play it safe. Go for it in 2020 and try new things, particularly when it comes to making money, careers and things like this. A change for Pisces is as good as a rest.
You said that Pisces have been more the single type of person. But is there going to be any change for them in love in 2020?
Well, really for Pisces during 2020, it's a time of it's not a big priority love for them in 2020. It's really staying married, you'll continue to be married. If you're in a relationship, you'll stay in that relationship. There's more a need for the Pisces during 2020 to have a sort of security in love around them. They're not likely to want to sort of throw reason to the wind and just run away with the gypsies. They're going to be much more settled. And I think that urge for being settled is the main driving force in the love life of Pisces during 2020. Pisces, you felt held back for quite a long time now. You felt on your own for quite a long time now. But be a bit more adventurous. Go for it, because now is your time to find much greater freedom in all areas of your life.
So this 2020 seems to be, it's going to be actually a good year for most of the signs.
Yeah, I think an interesting year generally, with some interesting numerology in it as well, because it's the 20th of the 2nd, 2020, and things like that coming up, which we can talk about another time. But yeah, I think an interesting time, and also as through the prediction videos, an interesting time politically, for example.
And people can see your 2020 prediction on the other video you've made.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, and there's lots going on
there. There's the link somewhere.
Somewhere up here or over there.
And these predictions were more general, these astrological predictions, this science prediction.
Yeah, I mean, this type of astrology we're doing now is sun sign astrology, they call it. So, but if you want to get something a little bit more in-depth and personalised for you, you can have a look on my website. You'll see it coming up on the screen here somewhere. You can call my readers. They can give you a psychic reading, a clairvoyant reading, or a specifically astrological reading based entirely upon your date of birth and what you do. Just go to the website and call the numbers, and you can get reading right now if you like.
Don't forget to subscribe on this channel.
Yep.
Click the bell so you will be notified for any new video that is coming up. And actually, you were telling me before that you were going to do a better astrological video per each sign.
More in depth.
Yeah,
a bit more in depth for each sign. And we might even later on start looking at some pet videos as well, I was thinking.
The pet astrology.
But some of that might be fun to do. We can get Boo in. Yeah. And what about your channel? Because you're doing this new thing when you've been filming all this with these cameras and things. And
yeah, if you are interested in making these videos, or if you are interested in photography, videography, filmmaking, you want to start your own YouTube channel. Well, I got my channel. The link is in the description. I'm the Italian Dad. It's pretty simple to find.
And it's fun and interesting. And you can see some of the bloopers we make sometimes and the things that go right and go wrong and how we do it.
And I show especially how you can make all these on a budget, on a really tight budget. Because not many people can go out and buy a £25,000 or $25,000 camera. But in my videos and in my channel, you will see how you can make these videos with less than £500 or less than $500. I already have a video on which camera to buy if you just want to start and spend less than $500 or £500 between the camera, the lens and the microphone. That will get you started. So just go down in the description for the link and subscribe to it.
And talking about budgets, you can help us if you become a patron of this site, because we're trying to do something really special with this channel, as we've already said. You know, we're trying to get our own studio and places where we can work and transmit all sorts of interesting stuff to you that have never been done on YouTube before. Something unique, a community of spiritually minded people working together.
And we're trying to help even children in needs.
Indeed.
With the Patreon.
Yeah.
So
yep, and then we do a lot of charitable work as well. And we'll keep you updated with that through the channel as well, through 2020. Well, thanks for joining us, folks, and do keep subscribing, and thank you for supporting us over 2019. And all of you, no matter what sign, do have a good 2020. Life is what you make it. It doesn't matter about the planets and stars. It's us that make the changes in the world and can make our life happy.
Happy New Year, people.
Happy New Year.
Ciao.
Bye.